There's only one episode left of the American Song Contest. It is the grand final, 10 songs, 10 states and regions to compete for all the glory, and then we'll see where we go from there. I'm probably going to do a longer video kind of summarizing the whole experience so far, so today's video might be a little bit shorter, but I think I said that about another video and it was a lot longer. Anyway, let's dive into it. The semifinalists announced, the final running, and who I think is going to take it home. So first things first, on Monday, we got our first four qualifiers from the first semifinal. That was, of course, Alexa, Colorado's Riker, Kentucky, Jordan Smith, and Alabama, Nico. Of course, Nubu Goofin did not make it, which was a bit surprising. We thought this rule change that they implemented of 4 songs going through fully on the televote would benefit the likes of Nubu Goofin, but still didn't get through that semifinal. I know one of my commenters from the last video actually mentioned Kentucky. That was one I didn't think had as much of a following or fan base or a chance of going through, but of course he did end up qualifying. Not to say he doesn't deserve it. Of course, he has one of the most amazing voices on the show, and the staging was nice. I do like the changes. It was very nice overall. Jumping into semifinal number 2, we got our qualifiers earlier this morning on E for whatever reason, and it was Michael Bolton, Chloe, North Dakota, Grant from Texas, and Tanel from American Samoa. Now, the order they released them in on the TV, we don't actually know if that was the correct order or just the order they decided to put them in. It's hard to say, really, who won or lost the televote. Again, I don't think the American Song Contest really cares at this point how they're delivering it. It doesn't feel as much like a contest as the name would imply. It feels like a television show, and everything that they're doing for it is for ratings, not for any sort of integrity of competition sake. So Chloe is probably the most impressive qualifier because I didn't think she would get through the heat, and she did. I didn't think she would get through the semi, and she did. So there's clearly a huge following around her, especially for someone who doesn't seem to have that large of a fan base to begin with. So there's a lot of buzz on that entry. I still don't think it's enough for her to win, but it's still impressive she got this far. Very happy that Grant got through. Very happy that Tanel got through. Michael Bolton, I felt like was more or less a given. Sad that Stella Cole didn't make it. She was one I thought was going through. I was right about Broderick in California. They were in deep trouble and, of course, didn't go through. Tennessee, I think, will be last in the grand final, or bottom 3 in the grand final. That song is not winning. It has gotten through on the jury votes both times, and it's a little bit suspect still that 4 jury acts were in one and only he was in the other, which basically locked him in, unless Broderick was considered higher. It locked him in a free jury spot that you'd think, well, let's say Houston or Ada Leanne was in semi number 2. They may have gotten through and knocked out Tennessee. Because when I looked at some of the YouTube numbers this morning, North Carolina still hadn't even broken 1,000 views, and I think Tennessee was only just a little bit above 1,000 views. The view counts for this week were insanely low. Of course, everyone pales in comparison to Alexa. Before I go to my predictions for the final, I do want to say that I was right about heat number 3. That was the most stacked heat by such a wide margin. Jewel bubbled, just barely not getting through. All 4 songs from heat number 3 are in the final, even though, again, I don't know if Tennessee necessarily deserves it. All 3 of the televote qualifiers from semi 3 or heat 3 got to the final. So I think Brooke, Alex, and Jewel really just got a terrible draw. I think if you put them in any other heat, they at least make it to the semis. Maybe not to the grand final, but they at least make it to the semis through a lot of those other heats. And you could say the same about Jesse Prati, Sabu, everyone who was in heat 3, Alzabala from Florida. All of them got really unlucky. That was such a stacked heat. I don't think they anticipated the amount of talent that was in there. Of course, the likes of Riker Lynch as well. It's just so much talent, so much of a fan base, and yeah, it's kind of sad that it played out that way. All right, shifting gears, let's bring up the finalists. I've kind of separated them all into three groups. A group of three that I think have the best chance of winning, a group of three that I think have an outside chance of winning, and a group of four that if they won, I'd be extremely surprised. So I guess the first group I'll start with is the group of three that I think are going to win. I still believe Alexa and Alan Stone, Washington and Oklahoma, are the front runners. I still believe that those two, I can't imagine one of them not winning, especially Alexa with her fan base, right? It feels like she's been doing pretty good with the juries and unbelievably with the televote. And then Alan Stone is going to win the jury vote in the final. And, you know, if he just gets a decent televote, maybe he gets top three in the televote, that might be enough to beat Alexa. Now, there's also Jordan Smith, who, again, I didn't think was going through from the semis, but clearly he showed that he can get the televote and has the fan base, and he'll get a good jury vote. He could be the one that ends up second, third, second, and that's enough to propel him through if Oklahoma gets killed in the jury and Alan Stone gets killed in the televote, assuming we go back to a 50-50 split. Because if it's all televote in the final, then I have to bring Riker Lynch into the conversation of him potentially winning it all just because of who he is and because he can mobilize a fan base. So those three, Kentucky, Oklahoma, Washington, I think they're the ones with the best chance. Then that next tier down, I would put Alabama and Texas in there because they're coming from that insanely talented Heat 3. And I also love them. And then American Samoa as an outside chance. She's been mobilizing fans and doing quite well. I think beating a lot of expectations of a lot of people. So I would put them as kind of the outsiders. And then, you know, Colorado, assuming that jury votes matter in terms of winning the whole thing, Colorado is going to come dead last. So there's no real path to victory for him to win. I think Tennessee comes dead last in the televote, so I don't think there's a real path of victory for him. And then North Dakota and Connecticut, yeah, I'm still just not sold on them having the winner vibes. They're great tracks. They're well performed. They have great voices. But they haven't shown up enough, I think, in the jury votes that even if they have strong televotes, I don't think they're going to have the televote needed to win it all. And especially versus some of the other acts. So I'm kind of putting them in their own group. You know, we'll see how it goes. It really does feel like this is Alexa's to lose. So if I had to make one prediction, pick one song, one artist, I think Wonderland by Alexa is winning this competition. Or a little bit of both by Washington would be my second pick. Either way, I'm happy with both of them. They're incredibly talented. The songs are great. So, you know, as long as it's not Tennessee, I kind of am happy with most of these choices here. And it's not that I hate Tennessee's song. It's just, I don't think it's finals worthy. I would rather have, North Carolina, actually. I think North Carolina was my favorite country song. Not my favorite genre, but I actually liked his song a lot more. And I thought it was a lot more powerful. So anyway, we'll see how everything plays out. Like I said, I'm going to do a final video after the finals and kind of wrap this whole thing up and talk about whether or not we even think there's going to be another American Song Contest. And I also promised you rehearsals and predictions for semifinal 1 and 2 of Eurovision, and I haven't done that yet. I'm going to try and do that. So anyway, 8 p.m. Monday night. Let's give NBC the best possible ratings we can. Turn on every TV you have. and hopefully maybe we can get another American Song Contest in the future, but I'm not holding my breath. So anyway, take care.